Hi there, welcome back to part 4 of my competitive Smash player's guide to Rivals of Aether. Previously, we looked at the game's history, its mechanics, and its roster. You can find the rest of the playlist in either the description or on the card on your screen now. We're going to wrap this up by going over some ways to discover the community and start competing. First, we're going to take a look at the community's presence online and then discuss how to find in-person events as well. So, first of all, online. As you might expect in the year 2022, Rivals of Aether has a big presence on Discord. You'll find our largest online hubs through various Discord servers, so we'll go through some core places for newcomers to meet people, find resources, and compete in tournaments online. I'll include a document with links to each of these servers in the description below or in the card you see now. So first off, you've got the official Rivals of Aether Discord. This is run by the developers and is your most basic starting point. This is where the devs will run official online tournaments, share announcements, brackets, and streams for our big in-person events, and share various updates about stuff like new content and game patches. You'll also see other independent organizers sharing links to their own events as well. You've also got a matchmaking channel where you can look for people to play longer sessions with, a place to help with Q&A if you have like a game question or some technical problem, and general social channels to mingle and hang out. As a newer player, there's 2 other servers I'd recommend joining. First off, you have the Rivals of Aether Academy. This is set up as an official offshoot to the official Rivals of Aether Discord as a place for newer players to, in the staff's own words, learn and improve their gameplay. They have a lot of content, events, and people there dedicated to teaching newer players about the basics of the game, giving them opportunities to practice, and providing them with other learning resources. One of the best parts about the Rivals Academy are the mentors. This is a group of highly skilled players who are available to teach people about the game. They provide things like Q&A and match review in the Ask a Mentor channel, and will even spend time in one-on-one sessions in-game to help you learn anything from the basics of gameplay, teaching you about a certain character, giving you matchup practice, or whatever else you might need help with. This is all free of charge, by the way. Mentors are just volunteers doing this on their own time for the sake of helping out newer players. I highly encourage you to seek them out if you want any tips. They're a great resource. Academy also runs some tournaments, most notably the Rivals Amateur Series, or RAS. This is a free-to-enter online weekly bracket which is limited to lower or mid-level players. It's a great place to get familiarized with the tournament experience and an even better way to meet people around your skill level to get practice with and learn from. If you find someone in RAS that played a certain character or used a certain playstyle that you might struggle with, feel free to reach out to them afterwards. The ethos behind RAS is to get players connected with one another so that they can all learn from each other. I also want to shout out the RoA Academy Hispano, a spin-off to the Academy focused on providing Spanish language content, including translated guides and Spanish-speaking mentors. Secondly, I'd recommend joining Rivals Recess. This server is more exclusively focused on running tournaments, most notably their lower-level focused Rivals Recess circuit. They have things broken down into more specific skill brackets, going all the way down to a novice league. Typically, their events are run in a round-robin style, which allows everyone to get at least a few tournament sets in and come away with something to watch or lessons to take home after playing. They also have other resources like a public match review chat, various open brackets, social channels, and more. With all this talk of amateur brackets and whatnot, I want to make it crystal clear that you don't have to exclusively enter these newbie-focused events if you want to start competing. There's a constant rotation of regular events online if your goal is to be active in tournament play in a more general sense, and there's absolutely nothing stopping you from entering these open brackets if you want. In fact, I would encourage you to do so. It's a great way to get practice from more experienced players, and to get more familiar with some of the more established figures in the community. Next up, I'd like to mention character-specific servers. As you might find in other games, each character has their own Discord server. You can often find character-specific guides and resources there alongside some other community-focused channels. These servers can vary in activity depending on the particular character, but it doesn't hurt to pop in and see what's up. If you're having trouble finding games in any of the servers that I've already mentioned, there's also a few public servers that are focused on matchmaking or running their own tournament series. Keep an eye out on places like the official Rivals Discord's Tournament Announcements channel for up-to-date info on where stuff is happening whenever you happen to be watching this. Among these, I'll quickly shout out the Arena. It's a decently active matchmaking-focused server where players of all sorts of skill levels will frequent from time to time. Lastly, you have the regional servers. These can vary in scope from focusing on continental scenes like Europe, Australia, Asia, etc., to more locally focused for particular countries or sub-regions. Many of the more specific servers will be for places in the US and Canada, due to the player distribution there. I'll include a full directory of public regional servers so you can find your own local scene. Speaking of which, These regional servers are great places to check out if you're looking to play in person. There's an ever-expanding number of places that are hosting regular offline Rivals events, with some scenes being quite developed after years of activity. Take a look in the server directory and see if there's a local scene near you. If you're not in a very active area for in-person Rivals, there's still a couple things you can do. Teaching you how to start your own fighting game local is a bit outside of the scope of this video, especially in a post-COVID outbreak world, but I can try to give a few tips. If you're itching for some action, consider taking Rivals to a nearby Smash Bros. Local and see if you can drum up any interest from people in that scene. Speaking from experience, a bunch of Rivals players are former or even current Smashers, so there's actually a pretty decent chance you can find at least one other person to play with locally. Maybe if there's enough interest, you can try to bring Rivals brackets into existing larger events like monthlies or regionals. Consider talking to your local tournament organizers about your interest in hosting Rivals tournaments. See if they have any insights or connections that they'd be willing to share. If all of this sounds a little unrealistic, this is pretty much how my local scene here in Arizona got started, by getting involved with the Project M scene here and snowballing into one of the most active local scenes in North America. Just don't be a jerk about it, alright? You're not going to get anybody interested by just relentlessly downplaying other games or doing nothing but talking smack. Just play nice, you know? Generally speaking, PC is the platform of choice for competitive play, as it's usually the most up-to-date version of the game and has support for the most different types of controllers, namely Xbox, GameCube, Switch Pro, keyboard, etc. You'll want to use a Mayflash adapter for GameCube controllers on PC, as it'll work right out of the box with no additional setup. Official Nintendo adapters can work in a pinch if you have absolutely no other options, but it does require some extra legwork and is by no means plug-and-play, even once you go through the initial setup. So stick to Mayflash if at all possible. They're just over $20 on Amazon and so much easier to work with. By the way, Rivals actually has a built-in tourney mode that you can access from the character select screen. Just click the Change Rules button and you'll see a tourney mode toggle right at the top of the list. Just flip that on and you'll be good to go. The game keeps track of set counts and handles stage striking right there in-game. You can also find a link to the official rule set in the video description. Outside of just your local scene, there's also the dev-sanctioned Rivals Championship Series. These are the big ones, the major tournaments that everyone makes an effort to go to. Season specifics tend to change from year to year, so you can check out startgg/RCS or rivalsofaether.com for more up-to-date information, but for now, here's the key facts. Throughout the RCS season, there are a handful of big events that receive backing from the devs to act as our premier events. There's also a few online majors sprinkled in as well. Peak COVID has made the particular scheduling of these seasons a little wonky in recent years, but they generally last for a good portion of the year, starting around April or May, and going through January or February the following year, with the handful of months in between set aside as an off-season. At the time of this recording, there are dedicated leagues for both North America and Europe. At the time of this video's release, we are currently in Season 7, spanning 2022 through 2023, meaning that the big RCS events in North America are as follows. Gamers on the Edge for the Kids in Florida this last May, June's Online Major, Double Down 2022 in Vegas in July, Super SmashCon 2022 in Virginia in August, Riptide 2022 in Ohio in September, Big House 10 in October in Michigan, Heatwave 5 in Arizona in November, December's Online Major, and the RCS Finals at Genesis 9 in the California Bay Area in January of next year. For Europe, we have online majors in July, August, October, and January, Regen 2022 in the UK this past July, Bifrost 4 in Sweden in August, Titans in Italy in September, Tech Republic 6 in November in Spain, and
Rivals Odyssey Ghent Winter 2022 in December in Belgium.
Other events that crop up during the season and meet certain requirements can get inducted into the season as well, like this year's TAPS, Sunny Shore, Back in Blood 5, etc. So keep an eye out on places like the Rivals of Aether Twitter account and the Rivals Esports account for regular updates on upcoming events. In the past, programs like the Grassroots League have helped structure and promote these independent tournaments, so keep an eye out for possible similar programs making a return now that in-person events are becoming more common. These RCS events all culminate towards the seasonal RCS rankings, which commemorate the top players from each region. These RCS rankings are the Rivals equivalent of Smash's PGR rankings, conducted by a panel of community veterans at the end of each season. As you might imagine, anyone who makes it on the RCS's top cut is a threatening opponent indeed. So with that, at long last, that should wrap up this series. Apologies again for the long turnaround time on this project. There's been a bunch of personal issues that have held me back on actually committing the time needed to get these out the door, ranging from controlling my weird perfectionist tendencies to wrangling my ADHD in a post-academic lifestyle and some other random life stuff peppered in between. If I'm being honest, I definitely bit off way more than I could chew trying to pursue a project like this, but I'm glad that I got to eventually see it through in some form eventually. Because of that lack of timeliness, I'm not going to be able to really promise too much content going forward. At the time of writing this video, I've got my eyes on some other Rivals project outside of YouTube that I'll hopefully be able to talk about here eventually, but I don't currently have a set roadmap for making much more Rivals content here in the future. Whatever I end up making next will likely be a much smaller scale than this colossal project here on YouTube, and there's still a few ideas that I might want to explore at some point in the future, but for now my priorities are going to be lying elsewhere as I focus on that aforementioned non-video project, not to mention keeping up as a competitor and whatnot. I'll see what ends up working out. With all that said, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I would very much encourage you to do so. Hey, YouTube plug. Even if my next project isn't video related, I'm sure that I'll be sharing an announcement about that here at some point, hopefully in the near future. For now though, I hope you enjoyed watching, and thank you very much. Every time someone's reached out to thank me for these videos or tell me my content helped them get into the game has honestly meant the world to me. Stuff like that is why I wanted to make this project a reality to begin with. My goal was to hopefully get at least one more person to join the competitive scene, and the fact that I've been able to succeed with even just a few people is just so gratifying. So thank you all so much for your kind words, it really means a lot to me. Anyway, I think that's all I've got for now, so take care, y'all.